So I went back later and looked around, and here was part of a tibia, which would fit a man about 6 feet tall or a baby. Very fragile. I preserved it all, did records and all that sort of thing. And so that's what I found. For giants mixed in with dinosaur bones, you got to go to Glen Rose, Texas. You also can go up to Oklahoma, where they found an Acrocanthosaurus, a really famous one that's in really good shape. Those guys told me they know where some human tracks were with dinosaur tracks and another Acrocanthosaurus. They said, we'll never tell anybody, because the government so abused those guys when they found that thing that they said, we'll never tell anybody anything again. And sadly, but there they saw it, So if you've got tracks of a man and tracks of a dinosaur, they live together.
That's a lot of proof. Now, I got to ask you another question, Joe. We had a lot of people on my show. We talk about Bigfoot. We talk about alien abductions and all that. But we were talking about there's never been any, bones found of a Bigfoot. And can you explain why there would not maybe be any bones?
Several years ago, 25 years ago, for some reason, this Bigfoot researcher called me up and said, hey, man, can you raise $2,000? Well, he might ask me for $1 million. I said, well, I can try. He said, there's some hunters up here in Canada, British Columbia, maybe Canada. They were out on the river and shot a bear. Well, when they got up on the shore and went up into the woods to find it, said, oh, my gosh, it's a Bigfoot. They killed it. So they went into town, rented a backhoe, came back and buried the thing probably 3 feet deep, maybe, or deeper. And he said, if we could just get up there, helicopter in, get there and dig up part of this thing, a bone, just anything, we could get DNA on it. Because if we don't, the bears will get it. You see?
Uh-huh.
So I asked him, he had a lot of information. He was a big Bigfooter. And I maybe he's famous now. I don't know. I can't think of his name, but I wrote all the stuff down. I said, these things get shot with guns. They get hit with cars. Where are the bones? He said, well, apparently they dispose of their dead. Well, what do you mean? He said, well, they dispose of them. I guess he means to eat them. There are human tribes that eat the bones of their ancestors. People eat bones of people. So is it so unthinkable that Bigfoot would eat bones of Bigfoot? I think so. It's probably probable.
Maybe they're maybe they're cannibals and they just eat the remains of a dead one. I mean, wasn't there some ancient people back in prehistoric times that would actually eat each other? I could find that not hard to believe.
Well, that's one of the stories you frequently hear associated with giant men, that they're cannibalistic, among other negative things. But that's I think it's very possible. Animals eat each other. Lions, and you look at the when they kill a wildebeest over there in Africa, all the animals rush in. The lions get their share, and then the hyena come in. Good grief! In a half a day, the thing's rendered into a skeleton, and they chewed off the ends of the bones. And after a while, they eat all the bones. I found a lot of bones out here in the canyon, buffalo bones and other bones, that rats, gophers, and other porcupines, somebody's chewing on those bones. Well, up in deer country, in Colorado, places like that, there are a lot of deer antlers that are shed every year, thousands and thousands of them. But you'll seldom ever find a pair. I found a couple of pair. And I think it's because a lot of times you find them, the beaver and the rodents have already started to gnaw them up. So after a few years, that hardest part of a deer is gone. So that may explain why they're we don't find bones of them. There was a guy up in Canada killed one back, I think, about 70 years ago. He thought he shot an elk. When he got up to it, he got close. He shot it again in the behind, just to make sure the thing didn't get up and run off. That's because that's what they ate up there. That's how they lived. When he got up to it, he was again just terrified because it was a Bigfoot. a brown Bigfoot. Well, he took off and never went back. We don't know what happened to the remains, but he only told that story at about age 93 here a few months ago because he just was it so bothered him that he had shot a Bigfoot. So what happened to the remains? I don't know. The Falk monster was a friend of mine said she knew the lady that saw it laying dead on the beach after the flood of 1980 down there in Folk, Arkansas, wherever that is. So why didn't someone go get it? Why haven't they found it later? Apparently they disposed of their dead.
Interesting. Yeah, I get that question asked so often, about like, why isn't there any remains of it? I don't even know. Out in a forest, for example, I know that if a person is dead in the forest, it doesn't take more than about a week or so and there's no remains left.
Well, I interviewed a fellow who, couple of guys. One guy was out in, I believe, New Mexico. They were out looking around, and he sees a hillock over there, and trees kind of look like almost like they're planted there, maybe on purpose. Maybe they just came up there. Goes over and look, and it's all these bones of maybe cattle, deer, or something. Kind of freaked him out. It's like, what the heck are these bones all doing here? Another friend of mine up in the Oklahoma area, he's looks for Bigfoot, a guy named Todd Jurassic, and he's found at least one site, if not more, where you see the same thing. You see heads of deer, skulls and horns and other bones, and it's not a hunter. Hunters wouldn't have done it, and it looks like that's where Bigfoot took their kill and ate them and then left the bones, which, as you say, after a few years, they're going to disappear. I've got an old cow skull out here, which is one of my best specimens. The kid picked it up out on the ranch, and it had died 10 years before, and he brought it in to me, traded to me for some stuff. Well, I was glad to get it because we know when the thing lived, we know when it died, we know when it was collected. And out here in Texas where it's dry, stuff lasts better than in the tropical rainforest. But this thing is in awful shape. After 10 years, another 10 years, it would have been nothing to it. So, again, if dinosaurs laid around, if they died and laid around for 10 years, 100 years, there'd be nothing left. And yet we find jillions and jillions of dinosaurs. They're everywhere. And sometimes in massive graves that go for miles, like in South Dakota. So, like you say, things in the forest are just going to disappear. Maybe that's why there's so many people disappear in these national parks. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. They just disappear and never come back. They might find their backpack a mile away, and they're gone. Well, maybe it's bear. Maybe it's not bear. But they're not like us. The Bigfoot teeth are similar to Gigantopithecus, which is the supposed fossil ape of China or Africa, wherever they find that thing over there. Those teeth are massive, and they've got the jaw structure to crush a bone. Hyena can do that. Hyena can crush bone. A lot of animals, wolves, will start at the end of the bone. They chew that off and just crack the bones for the marrow, swallow bones and everything else. They finally can devour most of a femur of a buffalo, which is a pretty big bone.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're things have to be buried pretty quickly. Even out here in Texas, I've got a lot of buffalo bones, but it's because they were buried in a rainy season, which we don't have anymore. The old idea of the present is a key to the past. That's just really, I don't think that's true. If that's true, where's our rainy season here in West Texas? Man, we don't have it. But out of the canyon, there's 20 feet of mud out there that's been washed in slowly but surely, fill up the canyon, and the oldest buffalo bones are on the bottom, and the newer on the top. And then when the weather changed in here, maybe after Coronado was here, I don't know, maybe before. But these violent rainstorms come now, and they've cut these canyons back significantly. In about 20 years, I've watched one draw out there recede back a good 50 to 100 feet and exposing buffalo bones all the way. So whatever buried those buffalo bones isn't like what it is now. So conditions to find any kind of bones, it's pretty rare to start with. But if you're in a Bigfoot area, it's, I think, a good candidate. They're eating those things.
Yeah, it makes me wonder about all these people have gone missing in the national forest. You know, there's a bunch of people out there, they think Bigfoot, you know, is either alien or they're paranormal. They really are not flesh and blood. But, you know, there's so many people, Joe, have disappeared in the national forest. It's scary. Or not even in our country, even in Canada. We're talking huge numbers. I'm just wondering if they were unfortunate and they ran into a Bigfoot because, you know, you got all these different camps. Some people say the Bigfoot are friendly towards humans. They would never hurt humans. They would just scare them off. Then, you know, I've talked to, because some of my members of my family married into 2 different Indian tribes up here. And talking to the medicine woman on one tribe and the medicine man on the other tribe, when they talk about Bigfoot going back around the 1880s, 1870s, or before, they always come back with their stories about how they were cannibals.
Right. Well, yeah, the Indians, they've known about these things a long time, and what they're saying is probably true. You know, another thing, if you're kind to an animal, an old dog, an old cat, you feed them, pet them, and all that, they're not going to hurt you. They're just the sweetest old things in the world. But you beat a dog or shoot a dog and you injure him, when he sees a man, he's going to be terrified of him. And I wonder that maybe a lot of these Bigfoot have been shot, and they're so tough that a couple of bullets don't kill them. But, you know, it angers them. So the next time they see people, they're not nice. But, you know, maybe in the old days, the Indians shot them with arrows and made them mad, and after that, they're vindictive. You know, you don't know, but it's plausible. But I know a lady who says she was healed by being in the presence of one of them. And I can't say she's, you know, that's what she says, and all I can say that's what she says. I can't say it's not true. But in her area, they're benevolent. They'll put food out for them. They'll bring back, you know, some little gift for them, like a tooth or a rock or something like that. And she says that they weep over the dead. So there was apparently a baby died, a baby Bigfoot, and they buried it in this little special dirt stuff and wailed over it like humans. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say that's not true, but that's not the, most Bigfoot are pretty scary. But, you know, you see, if you saw a man 8 feet tall with long red hair and 6 fingers, you know, would you go up and go, "Hi, how you doing? How is it around here?" No, you're terrified. You're going to get the heck out of there. So you see an animal that you know is stronger than you. You've heard about them. Everybody I know that's seen a Bigfoot, if they come towards them, they're terrified. They leave just as fast as they can. So, you know, again, there's maybe nice ones, maybe some aren't so nice.
You're right. Hey, our time is winding down again. Is your museum open yet, or is it going to be opening soon? Or I know you're working on the roof.
There's one of my friends who's recuperating from long illness, cowboy guy. He's been coming down every day as best he can, and it's unofficially open. But because we still have a lot of damage we haven't been able to fix yet, some of the displays are covered. We're just, you know, saying, yeah, you come on in if Cecil is here, but we can't have groups, can't have kids in or anything like that. Maybe, Lord willing, by the end of October, 1st of November, maybe we can get it cleaned up and get some staff in there again and get it rolling. We've got more cool stuff than ever. I just brought 155 boxes from storage to the museum that have not been gone through. They were collected in 84, 89. And a lot of buffalo stuff in there, and those things hold secrets, and I hope to be able to assemble some groups to go through them, harvest all the information, and come to some conclusions. So some really cool stuff in there. So you know, we're hoping to get open.
It sounds like it. Now, where can they find your book there, Joe?
You can go to